2024 was not the year for achieving goals. At least for me, it wasn't. It was very much a filler year. I didn't get a lot of things done. I had a lot of goals and aspirations, but unfortunately, those were not met, and that's okay. Sometimes you just need to have one of those years, one of those days.
Everybody has those days.
You know, 2025, I am determined to make it better. I'm going to be posting on my YouTube channel at least once a week. Every Tuesday, I'm going to try my hardest to release a video. So if you want to see more of me, subscribe and like the videos. All the information that I'm about to tell you is from my Notion. I have a little section where I track all my books and how I rate them and my thoughts on them as well. The first 5 books that I read in 2024 were a part of my reading 12 books for Christmas or for December for the holiday video that I released in February of 2024, I believe. That video was basically just me reading 12 holiday themed books / wintry books for the month of December, kind of like the 12 days of Christmas. First up is The Worst Noel by Amy M. Reade. This is the first book in the Juniper Junction Cozy Mystery series, which I did end up reading and finishing throughout this year, so I will be continuing to talk about this. The main character, I don't remember her name, I think it was Lily or something like that. She owns a jewelry shop in a little small town, but it's a touristy town, so there's a lot of people there. She owns a jewelry shop. She goes in on Black Friday morning to go open up her shop, and she realizes that the door is open, and she's like, what the heck? She walks in, turns on the lights, she stumbles upon a unalived body, and she's like, whoa, what is happening here? Throughout this book and the rest of the books, she plays detective. I really liked the character dynamics in this book, especially in the first book. I really liked her children in this. There was a lot of just the way that they interacted with their mom was just really nice to see. The Worst Noel, I rated it a 4 stars. The Christmas Swab by Talia Samuels. It was an audiobook that I listened to from Spotify Premium. There is this girl and this guy, her coworker, I believe. They started this whole fake dating thing, so then she goes to spend his family Christmas with him, and while she's there, she ends up falling in love with her boyfriend's sister. I also rated this one a 4 stars. Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd. I'm not gonna lie, the cover of this book, whenever books have this art style, I'm always like trying to stay away from them because I always tend to not end up liking this book for some reason. This is another fake dating, I think it's a fake dating romance book. Faking Under the Mistletoe is a romance, but I can't remember if it's a fake dating. I know she ends up dating her boss, like that's the whole plot, like her falling in love with the boss or whatever. It was an okay book. I gave it a 3 stars. The Gift, this is by Frida McFadden, I think it is. This is a thriller book. It's also a very, very short little book. I think it took me like an hour to read. It is about this girl who is trying to get a Christmas gift for her husband, and on the journey of that, there's a whole bunch of things that happen and unravel, and the plot twists are plot twisting. I like this one a lot, actually. I gave it a 3.9. I think I didn't give it a 4 because it was so short, but also I really enjoyed the story. The Christmas Cupid by Alyssa Madden Mills. This is a romance book. This was the last Christmassy holiday themed book that I read for my video, and by this point I was so burnt out from reading anything Christmassy holiday related. I was just reading books to keep reading. I wasn't even really interested in the books. I saw one that slightly caught my eye and I was like, yep, that one will be. I think that I would have liked this book a lot more under a different circumstance if I was actually in the mood for reading it. I think this was forced proximity romance book. So basically the girl, she ends up going to this cabin with her brother's best friend, and then they get stuck for the weekend. And I'm sure you can guess how that went. So I gave that book a 4 star. I really liked it, and I think I would have liked it a lot more if I wasn't burnt out and exhausted from reading so many romance books. The next 6 books are a part of the Juniper Junction Cozy Mystery series. I do have a separate video on this, so I'm not going to go too into detail about it and my thoughts on it. Dead, White, and Blue by all of these 6 books are by Amy E. Reade, and all of them are also murder mystery / mystery. It's not intense. It's a very chill, cozy mystery book, okay? And I also gave all of them 4 stars, I guess. Red, White, and Blue, they are All of these books take place during the holidays. So Dead, White, and Blue is 4th of July. My only notes on this that the kids weren't as cool as in the first book. Be My Valentine is taking place during Valentine's Day. I really liked this book a lot because I couldn't guess who was the killer in the book. So that was a fun little twist. I love when I can't figure out who the bad person is in a book. It's always so much fun because then I figure it out and I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. Will's Night Out takes place during Halloween. The main character ended up playing like a whole bunch of like different roles in this book. So basically she pretended to be this person, she pretended to be this other person. You know, it was kind of fun to see her play different little roles. May Day, I think, is that a holiday? Is May Day a holiday? Yeah, May Day takes place during May Day, I guess. There was a lot going on and it was in a different part of town, which I really like. And I think this also at the beginning took place in her brother's wedding. So that was kind of fun, like a different setting to be in, which was really nice, especially when you have a whole series. You like being in a different spot for every book, or just like to change it up and not have it be the same place every single time. Foul Play takes place in Thanksgiving. There's a whole bunch of like, oh, who could it be? There's like 4 suspects, and it was so confusing, but it was a lot of fun as well. There was a lot going on. And then the last one in the series, I believe, is St. Patrick's Fray. This one took place during St. Patrick's Day. This one felt like a good place to end the series because I feel like after this, I don't know how much further you can go with the plots. Like, you have covered everybody in your circle. Both Foul Play and St. Patrick's Fray also felt like longer books. St. Patrick's Fray just feels like a good conclusion to the series. Alright, so then I was planning on making this whole series about my favorite book series in the entire world. I do plan on making this video in the future, but I had started it and then I kind of just stopped. So then I didn't want to put out the video since I hadn't read the books in like months and it just felt not natural. So that would be The School for Good and Evil, The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes, and I also started reading The School for Good and Evil, The Last Ever After, I believe. I technically read those 3 books between like March and April. I don't think I got very far on that though. They are fantasy books and they're like my favorite thing in the entire world. Funny Story by Emily Henry. Listen to this also on Spotify Premium. Funny Story is basically about a girl who ends up getting divorced. Her husband leaves her and now she has to move in with her ex-fiance's new girlfriend's ex-fiance. Very confusing stuff here. I gave it a 4.5. This was my first book from Emily Henry that I have ever read, and oh my gosh, it was such a good book. Like, I remember reading it and being like, oh my gosh, I did not have this high of expectations, but now I'm like, oh, this book was so good. I was kind of confused as to where it was gonna lead to at the end, but I was very satisfied, very happy about how it went. I would probably reread it again, and that's a really great sign. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. It is a mystery / thriller. I bought this book. I also gave it a 2 stars. This was probably the only book that I did not give at least a 3 to. This is the only 2 that I have for the year. 5 Survive is about these 5 kids, I believe. They end up going on this road trip, and on the way getting to their destination they end up getting lost, and then they end up getting stranded basically. And there is an odd one out in that group, and one of them is evil. One of them put them in that situation and they're trying to figure out who it is, so it gets intense. I really disliked the book. The characters were very 2D. I mean, I know the situation that they're going through, so we don't have to like, it's not necessary to really learn about them, but knowing a little bit of substance of them would be so awesome. I literally had no idea who these people were. Basically, I just knew their names and that was it. I wanted a little bit more from them. And then the end of the book made me kind of spiral. So this is Catherine Walsh. I have read a good amount of books by her, like maybe 4 of them, and I absolutely love her. I'm not a big fan of romance books, but Catherine Walsh makes the best romance books to ever exist, at least for me. The Matchmaker is about this girl. All of Catherine's books take place in Ireland, I believe, or with Irish characters because she herself is Irish. So this girl, she is living in a little village, and there's this huge hotel trying to take over like a big chunk of their land, and so they're not having it, so they're gonna try to get some more traffic into their village or town by hosting this matchmaker event that used to be a thing back in the day but has slowly just gone away. So they're using that in order to just bring more traction, you know, make it seem like people do care about this town in order for the big hotel company to not run them down. Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubik. It is a thriller book. I gave this book a 3 stars. Okay, so I believe this book is about this couple. The wife accidentally unalived this other guy, and now they're trying to like cover it up, trying to figure out what actually happened to him. There's 3 POVs, I believe. It's the husband and the wife, so that's the couple, and then the wife from the unalived guy, basically. I thought it had the chance to be a really good book in my opinion, but it just lacked a bit because, okay, so there were things that I thought that were kind of unnecessary and things that I wish we could have gotten better explanation for, I guess. I do remember there was this one little subplot going on in the background, and I was hoping for a little bit more from that. Just a little bit more. The Summer House by James Patterson. It is a thriller. I gave it a 3.8. I really did enjoy the book. One thing though was that I really didn't have any knowledge or understanding of the theme of the book or like the subject of the book of what was going on. There was like military talk. It was just like, so it was kind of confusing to me, and so I was kind of just zoning out throughout the entire book. I do remember it. It's basically about this group of Michelin's military guys who are getting charged and are arrested for the unaliving of this summer house of the people in it. And so then there's this other group of people who are trying to defend them, trying to figure out what really happened that night in the summer house. And the end of the book just didn't feel very satisfying to me because, again, I mostly zoned out throughout this entire thing. If I didn't know what it was like talking about, I would just flip the pages, and I flipped a lot of pages. It was a good book. I just don't think it was meant for my consumption. Stolen Tongue by Felix Blackwood. This book... Stolen Tongue by Felix Blackwood is a horror / thriller book / sci-fi. I read this within a day. I read it throughout the night. It was absolutely horrifying and terrifying in such an amazing way though. Like, I have never been so absolutely creeped out and terrified and want to like in my entire life than in this moment. But when I tell you, I want to go back and reread this book so many times. I need to. Like, this was such a great freaking book. The beginning of it scared me. The middle scared me. The end scared me. And everything in between scared me. It was absolutely horrifying. But the best, most wonderful experience ever. And it was so funny because I started reading this book on September 25th, which was also the day that someone recommended it to me on my YouTube channel, on my Kindle unboxing, which is why I read it that day. And then I was explaining it later on to one of my friends, and he had said, oh, give me a little summary, what's this about? And I told him, and he's like, wait, this sounds like Stolen Tongues. And I'm like, it is Stolen Tongues. That added even more to the creepiness that I felt throughout the entire 24 hours or however long it was. So basically it is about this couple. They start off a couple years prior. They are babysitting, and there is some weird things going on. Like, there's an entity, like, you can't see it, but you know that it's going on because even the dogs are going crazy. There was this parrot that they were babysitting for, house sitting for, and that the parrot lived in, and it would go crazy. He'd be like, he's right there. And then at the end of that little prologue, it said that the parrot never spoke again. Guys, even just remembering that, I'm like, oh, chills to my very bone, guys. It was such a great book. Felix Blackwood, I cannot tell you enough how amazing you are. You are incredible, sir. And basically then the rest of the book takes place a couple years later, when this couple is going on their little honeymoon trip in the wife's parents' cabin up in the mountains, and then they start experience similar things that they experienced in the house sitting instance, but now they're also stranded because they're snowed in, there's no electricity or service or something like that, and it's just a whole thing, and it is literally so good. 27 Minutes by Ashley Tate is a thriller and mystery book. I did listen to this through audiobook, so I gave this one a 3 stars. It was an audiobook and I wasn't fully enthralled in it, so that's what I mean. Like, Funny Story by Emily Henry was an audiobook, and that one I listened to so well, but all these other audiobooks that I listened to throughout the year didn't retain my focus for very long. I'm not too sure why. I think I either need to be... So 27 Minutes, I gave it 3 star. It was okay. I stayed for the ending. There was a bunch of different POVs and I wasn't following very well who was who, and it was very confusing. So this book takes place in high school between like 3 or 4 people, 3 or 4 POVs. It was crazy, and basically they are trying to uncover what happened years prior during this car crash on this bridge, which left this one girl unalived and missing. Basically, I believe that there's a whole other mystery behind it as well. Like, this dude went missing that night and the sister is trying to like find him, or is having struggles. Probably should have read it instead of listened to it. That could have helped. Keep It in the Family by John Mars. This is a thriller book. I gave it a 4 stars. This is one of the books that will haunt me to my very core until the end. I thought I had it all figured out until we got to the very end, like the last paragraph, and I was... There was many times where I went... Plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. I think there was like 3 or 4 in total. The ending made me so sad because I had so much hope for like a different route instead of what was happening for years, you know? Keep It in the Family is basically about this couple who end up buying and then renovating this house, and while they are doing so, the wife falls pregnant and she ends up finding this very disturbing thing that is in their attic. She wants to uncover it, and so she ends up spiraling and going into a depression and like hyper fixating on this thing for months, even after her baby is born. So she can't even connect with her child until like months later. It's a crazy, mind-twisting, mind-boggling thing ever. It's very disturbing. So the next 2 books are the last 2 books that I read for 2024. They are a part of a series as well. It's called The Busybodies Collection, a bunch of little mini stories, so an hour read. They're not all about the same character. They're also written by different people, staged by Ellie Cosimino. It is a murder mystery / short story. It was a really nice 30-minute to an hour read. It was very quick and simple, and it kept me interested throughout the whole thing, which was kind of surprising because it is such a short story that I wasn't thinking that it was gonna hold my attention for so long. I really loved the characters in this first book. It is about these 2 friends. One of them is a realtor, and then another one is just her friend, an interior designer, I think. The realtor hasn't gotten her big house sale yet, so they are really trying to get this one house to be the one, and so her friend helps her make it perfect for people to want to buy it. But guess what? Somebody ends up unalived in the house, and so now they're trying to figure out who done did it. And it's a very simple, very chill, very not like intense story. It's very nice, honestly. It's like a nice little palate cleanser between books, I would say. I give it a 4 stars. The Reunion Dinner by Jessica Q. Santana. I'm so sorry. It is also a murder mystery / short story. Another 4 stars. I didn't write a thought section or note section for this one. This family is having a family reunion. I think it's like Chinese New Year is what they're having the reunion for. The host's son comes in with his new fiance, and apparently this fiance is making a lot of people at the party mad, at the reunion upset, and then somebody ends up unalived, and so now it is up to the host to try to figure out who done did it. Alright, and that wraps up my 2024 bookshelf. 17 books I have read on Kindle Unlimited. 3 of them being audiobooks. 3 I already had in my own little bookshelf library. And 1 book I bought. So in total I read 24 books, which is kind of funny because 2024, I think that's how many books I read. I'll correct myself if I didn't, but 2025, the new goal for Goodreads or for reading in general is 75 books. I really do think that we could achieve this. But anyways, that is all for today, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. But anyways, I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye!